Welcome new and old friends. My name is 242, and today 42 got us 5 Christmas horror stories. So, turn off your lights, make sure your doors and windows are locked. Things are about to get spooky. You better watch out, not cry or pout, and I'll tell you why. Santa Claus is coming to town, and his sack can fit many children. The room next door is haunted by a Christmas spirit. I'm Screaming. By scalyannihilator. My friend and I saw a ghost. I know, but there's no other way to explain what we saw. It happened this Saturday, just at the halls of the residence where we live. It's early afternoon and my bags are packed. I'd be gone already, but I can't get a lift until tomorrow. The other students have left, and the place has fallen eerily quiet. There's only me and my mate Ben in the whole building. At least, that's what I thought, because I'm hearing scuffling noises coming from the room next to mine. It's Adam's room, in between mine and Ben's. I thought he'd gone as well. I overheard him on the phone during the week, and it was pretty clear he was going to be leaving on Friday. In fact, yesterday tea time I heard him lock the door and go. It's been silent since then. Until now, that is. So I'm guessing he's still in? So I'm laying on the bed and staring at the ceiling, listening to those noises, which come and go. But they're not the noises Adam usually makes, like a trip to the bathroom or preparing food. They're sort of slow pacing, long periods of silence, then slow, ominous creaking of floorboards. I decided to take a nap, but just as I dropped off, I snapped awake with the impression that I had been hearing whispering in my ear. There's an evil idea in my head, and I exchanged messages with Ben. We're going to play a prank on Adam. It's nighttime. There's an air vent leading from my room into Adam's, and another one between Adam's and Ben's. Ben places his phone between the slats of his air vent, and I feed a long net curtain wire into Adam's room. The other end of the wire touches the sleeping Adam, and he freaks out. Footsteps go thundering towards the light switch, and I withdraw the wire. I sit in front of my laptop and enjoy the spectacle, courtesy of the live feed from Ben's phone. I'm wondering why Adam has put his bedsheet over his head. He walked towards the other air vent and stops for a while. Then he turns to face the wall next to my room and walks towards it. Then he walks straight through it. I leaped up from my chair and stared at the wall, expecting him to come through, but nothing emerges. Adam's room is empty. I unlock the door and run out into the hallway. Ben's staying outside his room, looking as shocked as I am. It's Sunday, and we confessed our crimes to another student, who points out our crime is not possible to pull off, because of the configuration of the air vents. We can't prove otherwise because Ben's camera recorded no images. However, it did record some audio. When the specter stood facing Ben's air vent, the audio picked up a raspy sounding voice. It said, "Merry Christmas." 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was breathing, from a child to a spouse. The Annual Office Holiday Party by Fireside Chats 451. Jody stood watching the office holiday party with a cup of punch and a sneer. No one talked to her, and that was the way she liked it. Her eyes slid over the crowd, feeding away knowledge. Debbie was throwing herself at Stephen again. The girl really was pathetic. Rod was going on and on about his golf swing. You could see poor Fred falling asleep on his feet listening. And then... Hello? Who was that? A tall woman was talking to Diana, her back to Jody, who in the office had long brown hair and wore gray pencil skirts. Jody narrowed her eyes. Had someone from another department come down to schmooze? Did their manager know? Jody doubted it. Well, whoever their manager was, they were about to find out. As stealthy as she could manage in heels, Jody wandered around her coworkers, trying to keep an eye on the mysterious stranger. But just when she was about to reach them, Brad waddled his fat ass in between. "Excuse me," he huffed as he slid past. "Excuse me." By the time he was gone, the stranger had disappeared. Undeterred, Jody rose to her tippy toes and scanned the crowd. There, in the back, hanging towards the hallway. Jody scrambled off, using a few well-placed elbows to get through the packed space. To her dismay, the hallway was empty. How was this stranger moving so fast? Glancing around, she just managed to catch the sight of the stairwell door before it clicked shut. Bingo. Jody power walked to the stairwell and yanked it open. No one in sight. But she heard the distant sound of footsteps leaning down. With self-righteousness swelling in her chest, Jody followed. She tried to move as quickly as possible, but the stranger was always a floor ahead. Down they went, ground floor, garage, basement, and then finally, the sub-basement. Jody's feet ached by the time they reached the last door, but the triumph dulled the pain. The sub-basement was storage only. There was no escape for the mysterious stranger. Jody headed inside. The lights were dim, many bulbs burnt out. Dozens of box-bearing shelves stretched in all directions. Jody started forward cautiously, looking around for the stranger. Behind her, the lock clicked. Jody whirled around and stared in horror. The brown-haired woman in the gray pencil skirt faced her, except she had no face. As Jody watched, the blank skin filled out, mouth and eyelids opened in the flesh, familiar features emerging. Soon, Jody met the eyes of her mirror image. "Merry Christmas," Faux Jody said. Its arms swung out, too long, the crowbar in hand slamming into Jody's temple. Jody crumpled, darkness dancing in front of her eyes. The Faux Jody knelt and began taking her shoes. "Why?" Jody managed as the blood poured from her head. Faux Jody gave her a pity look. "You've been made redundant," she said. Jody knew no more. When the young kid posted a video of him threatening an elf on the shelf, he found hilarious to see hundreds of people with elf profile pictures saying, get ready for war. What he didn't find funny was when one of them posted all of his personal details and said, "We will strike at midnight." Santa's Little Helper by Shadowscribble. There's a reason your parents want you sound asleep when Santa comes to the house. There's a reason it's even mentioned in Christmas songs. It's because Santa is not the one who comes to your house on Christmas Eve. Santa's not the one that leaves the presents. He's not the one who eats the cookies or fills the stockings. He's not the one in the red outfit who crawls down your chimney. Santa's the one who makes the toys. Someone, something else delivers them. How else do you think he does it? One man, one fat, out-of-shape man rounding the world in one night? Impossible. He could never do it without help. I know because I've seen it. One Christmas Eve, long after my parents had gone to bed, long after they had given their warnings, my brother and I crept out of our room to investigate. My brother was 3 years younger than me, barely 4 years old, and it was a challenge keeping him quiet as we kept vigil at the top of the stairs. We had a clear line of sight to the Christmas tree, but we managed to be relevantly hidden behind the railing in the unlit hallway. And sometime, after an eternity of waiting, we heard something coming. Something slithering down the chimney. Not quite a man, not quite a snake. 2 pairs of arms, thin and muscular. Shiny, neon lizard yellow eyes, a flashy row of sharpened needle teeth. Something on top of its head too spiky to be hair, and too pliable to be bone. It moved fast, quickly sliding around the tree and placing the presents. With multiple arms, it could eat the cookies we left out, drink the milk, and still stack packages. I was old enough to be horrified by its molted gray skin and fiendish fangs, but my little brother was too young to be afraid. "Santa!" he called out, recognizing only the uniform. I tried to hush and grab him, but he was already awkwardly making his way down the stairs, arms outstretched, smile on his face, while I stayed wrapped in the shadow. I know why your parents don't want you up when Santa comes to the house. I know why Santa's outfit is red. I know cookies aren't Santa's favorite snack. I used to have a brother, but after that Christmas, I'm the only one who remembers him, barely. And now, even his name escapes me. If you want a truly Merry Christmas, be sure you're asleep when he arrives. And don't fake it. He knows when you're awake. Silent night, holy night. All was calm as the tree became a light. The Visitor by Decorative Gentleman. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house All my family were hiding from child to spouse. All the skins were hung by the chimney to dry, as quiet St. Nicholas whittled a thigh. My girl, Elle, was weeping through muffled hands, while blood in her hair made a mess of the strands. And Liv, catatonic, and I, with my dread, we watched through a crack in the floor overhead, when into our crawl space there seeped yet more splatter. Adult or child? Oh, I pray not the latter. Away from the blood flow, I sheltered my girl, while Liv, my dear wife, her lips started to curl. The scant light above cast a troubling sight. Liv's face wet with crimson, her teeth slivered white. When what to my tearful eyes should appear but a rictus maniacal spread ear to ear. I shuddered to see it while swallowing sick. That's the grin of the elves, the thrall of Saint Nick. As stiff as a coffin, she whispered an oath. We shuddered to hear it, my Elle and I both. Now hiding, now weeping, now peeping and staying, for soon seeking, soon screaming, soon tearing and flaying. From the gentlest peal to a bestial maul, now grip away, rip away, strip away all. Liv tore at her face with all 10 fingernails, like carotene pilgrims on the sanguineous trail. She dug at the flesh to the bone of her cheek and hung her jaw slack for an ear-splitting shriek. And then, with a clangor I heard up above, the floorboards were wrenched by a glistening glove, as I shielded sweet Elle from the splittering rain. Down his hand came, gripping us, wrenching again. Dread St. Nicholas raps with his guttural breath, wearing flesh rags and pates, a grim patchwork of death. And strewn on the floor were his blades and hooks, while a tinsel of entrails festooned all the nooks. While his face was cherubic, his chubby cheeks pink, while his small pitted eyes sunken like legions of ink. His saccharine features, a porcelain mask. What horrors it hid, I knew never to ask. A stump of arm he held firm around the wrist, and the skin he shrugged off with a sickening twist. A piece of a girl, our poor stand-in for Elle, who now stood and shook tense as vitreous jelly, and the hole in the floor looked a ruinous view. Now the home to a thing, not the Livy I knew. I knew I had been naughty, the fraud and the graft. I pilfered an orphanage, such was my craft. I knew he'd be coming, that monster Saint Nick. So I plotted and schemed and devised one more trick. The bodies we left should have brought us reprieve, a family of carolers out Christmas Eve. We offered a wessel with morphine and spice, a merciful tender, not naughty, but nice. But St. Nicholas spoke with a voice razor thin. You can hide from my presence, it won't save your skin. I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus under the mistletoe last night. Daddy saw, and now he's serving 15 to 20 years. Santa's Debt Collector by D.W. DanceLover24. When I was a child, I remember experiencing something very strange at Christmas time. It all began a week before Christmas Eve. I was 9 years old at the time, and I was very excited for Santa to come in a week and leave me all kinds of goodies. That year, I remembered I really wanted a remote control helicopter, and I asked my mom if she thought Santa would be bringing me one while she was tucking me into bed. She just laughed and said, "You'll just have to wait and see. Now go to sleep. You have school tomorrow." I don't remember when I nodded off, but the next thing I do remember was waking up because of a loud noise. My room was mostly dark when I woke up, some of it being illuminated by the moon. As I sat up in bed to try and look around my room to figure out where the noise had come from, I realized it was strangely cold in my room, despite it being winter. Then, that's when I saw it, standing there in my room a few feet away from my bed. Some type of creature. It had a human shape, but it was off in some way. It appeared very gangly and was so thin I could have been a skeleton. Its flesh was white and was splotched with something in a greeny brown color, maybe mold. It had a very sparse but long beard and piercing blue eyes. It was wearing what looked like a Santa suit, but it was old and worn and was stained all over. When it spoke to me, I noticed its teeth were yellow and rotted, and a foul odor smelling of something rotting came from its mouth. "Don't scream," it said in a raspy old man's voice. Who are you?" I stammered. "Me? I work for Santa. I'm his debt collector." "What? I never heard of you." "Do you think all those shiny new toys are free? They all come at some cost, and I've come to collect it." "How come I've never seen you before then?" "You were too young to still help to pay back the price. But now you're old enough." "But I don't have any money. I'm just a kid." "Don't worry about that," he chuckled. "I don't look for money as payment because I can never be seen by adults. Payment is collected in other forms. I will come back one night soon before Christmas Eve to get my payment from you. If I don't get my payment, Santa won't come. Are we clear?" He said straight in my face. "Yes," I gulped. "Good," it said while backing away as an ominous grin spread across his face. Then, almost magically, it was morning. I wasn't sure if what I had witnessed was a dream until I was getting out of bed and noticed a strange muddy footprints on my carpet. That day at school, I couldn't concentrate on any of my classes. I was worried about when it would come back and what it would want as a payment. It had never actually told me what the payment would be. So all day I was agonizing over it, terrified that I wouldn't have any presents on Christmas morning. At lunch, my friend Bill had asked me what was wrong. I got excited because he was the same age as me, so maybe Santa's debt collector had visited Bill and remembered to tell him what the payment would be. So I told Bill everything that happened the previous night, asking him if He was also visited by the debt collector and if he knew what the payment was. Bill just laughed and said, "That's a funny story. There's no such thing as a Santa's debt collector." I froze as a feeling of horror and ice washed over me. Had I just dreamed it all? I thought to myself, yeah, probably. But wait, what about those footprints on the carpet? Maybe the debt collector doesn't think Bill's old enough yet and hasn't visited him? Or am I just being crazy and I didn't just dream it all up? I know, when I get home, I'll ask Mom. She'd know because she would have gotten visited by him when she was a kid. So, as soon as I got home that day, I told all of what happened to my mom and asked her if it was real, and if so, when would he come back and what the payment was. "Oh, sweetie," she said as she put her hand on my arm, "there's no such thing as a Santa debt collector. It was probably all just a dream. Now you go to your room to start your homework, and I'll bring up a snack in a few minutes." So I figured she was right and I had just dreamt the whole thing up. I went up to my room and started my homework. And when I saw the muddy footprints, I decided they were from me and I forgot I had made them or just didn't notice when I did. Up until this day, I had completely forgotten about the whole incident. That was up until today when my daughter asked me if Santa's debt collector was real. On the inside, I felt the same feeling of horror and ice wash back over me as I suddenly remembered the whole thing. But I told her not to worry about it. I have no clue why it never came back all those years ago, and why now it is. Maybe because I told my mom, and it said it could never be seen by an adult. So maybe since my daughter told me, and I'm an adult now, she'll be safe. Or maybe since it visited me and never came back, that doesn't matter. I don't know. What I do know is that I'll be ready this time, and I'll be watching every night in my daughter's room up until Christmas Day to make sure it doesn't come back. And that if it does, my daughter is safe. The Smith family had a special guest for Christmas Eve. No one ever saw them after that night when Krampus came for dinner. I do hope you enjoyed those 5 Christmas horror stories. If you did, hit that like button and make sure it feels it. If you're new, subscribe and turn that pretty little bell to all notifications. And if you'd like to help this podcast, share it with anyone who might enjoy it. And if you'd like to help in other ways, I have a Patreon, merch, and PayPal. I'm not going to have a Sunday word this week. 1, this is on Saturday, and 2, I wanted to say something more important this week. I wanted to say thank you guys. This time last year, I had under 100 subscribers, and now I'm at 534 on YouTube. That's crazy. Thank you so much. My podcast has also grown as well, but I can't give you as much quantified information because I don't know subscribers from there. I'm sorry. I just have seen the views keep steadily going up. And thank you guys. And this is my last video for the year. Tomorrow I do have a video coming out, but it's from last year's Christmas story that I had all put together for you guys. And from me to you, I wanted to say happy holidays, whether you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is. I hope you have a great one, and I'll see you in the new year, and I hope you have a happy one.